Think we're good, Tony.
Yeah, I think we're good too. Hello, everybody on Facebook land. We are the Podguyz podcast, bringing it to you as we do 10:15 Eastern Standard Time. I am Tony Kaz.
Kevin Neary here.
Of course, the ever-loving Picasso. Le Sparky.
And Sparky says, hi for our non-viewing audiences out there. He did put the words up there, the H and the I together. Tony, who is in our fourth square right here?
We have in our fourth square this four-man battle royal coming in from the main streets of Pennsylvania, DJ Ricky.
DJ Ricky.
What's happening, guys?
Hi, DJ Ricky.
Hello.
Welcome to our show.
It is good to be here. It looks a lot like my back porch, but
Hey, the back porch is looking sweet. I see you got a Macho Man Randy Savage shirt you're sporting on right there. Big wrestling fan. I'm just throwing it out there. I'm guaranteeing you're a big wrestling fan, right? Was that your favorite wrestler when you were growing up, or?
Oh yeah, it's my favorite wrestler ever. There's nobody better than Macho Man for sure. Everybody else is a second, tied for second.
Everybody has a Macho Man Randy Savage impression, but you know what? The people who have had tracheotomies really do it the best.
You don't know, brother.
Yeah, they're all right. They're all right in it. Have you ever met the Macho Man Randy Savage before?
I have not. He's one of the few wrestlers I have not met, and that was because Randy, in real life, was an incredibly private person, and he was an incredibly paranoid person.
Paranoid as hell. Did you ever see that he's got that? He had the cameras on stripper.
I mean, cocaine will do that to you too, but.
Well, I mean, it at the same time, it's like I don't know that there was any shortage of cocaine in those 1980s dressing rooms, but they weren't all carrying peacemakers around, pointing guns.
You had a members only jacket. It came with a bag of cocaine. I remember those.
I still have one of those.
Check the lapel. It's got the cocaine in there, Tony. Yeah. Now
it's on the inside jacket liner.
Yes. It's comes with maybe that's just the warranty glue inside of there.
Never know. Never
you can
know.
still get high off of it, which is great. Now, Ricky, we had a really good show down at $5 comedy night at Old Time Charlie's.
We did.
Had a blast. You did you had a very impressive set all around with the 6-string orchestra. You want to tell us about that? How long have you been a vocalist for doing that? Do you play harmonica too, or anything like that, or just doing?
I do. I play harmonica. I play bongo drums, conga drums. That's way to put it. I don't play stick drums, but I do play hand drums, and I do play harmonica. I do vocals, and I DJ, obviously. So like that's pretty much the extent of my musical abilities. How long have I been a singer? I had a solo in the sophomore year spring concert, and I've been performing ever since then. So not quite 30 years yet.
Cool.
Different bands from the area.
What's your genre of preference, sir?
I was the first album that I fell in love with was Nirvana Unplugged in New York. And well, I mean, that's not fair. I'm going to say the first album I ever fell in love with was Harry Chapin, Greatest Stories Live. But I felt that was just something to listen to. And then when I saw Nirvana Unplugged in New York, I was like, okay, I got it. I know how to transition this into something that people will watch and like and be able to follow along.
One of the most watched, listened to MTV Unplugged series of all time.
Absolutely. I agree with that. I think most people would agree with that. I don't think I ever met anybody that was like, no, that was ass. Fuck Kurt Cobain, he couldn't do shit. Like, I haven't
heard of anybody committing suicide with a shotgun since then. Is
That's true.
you
That's
know, like
true.
you would think there'd be more than one after that, where they're like, "Hey guys, remember how you thought that it might have been a murder?" And everybody's like, "Yeah, anything about that?" Well, this guy over here killed himself with a shotgun too, and you're like, "Oh,
Yeah, I never heard
okay,
of
so
it.
it's doable then, right?" Yeah, you know, it's totally doable.
Now, see, years ago, I knew a guy who committed suicide by putting a shotgun in his mouth. But to be fair, he wasn't famous.
Okay,
He was just a
you know,
a guy.
and he should have probably been famous, you know, because he would have been the second person I know about that would be doing that.
Right.
That's, you know, significant right there. The no,
Yeah,
I've never heard of some. They don't really. That's not like a popular way to suicide yourself. You know, like there is rope. You know, you can basically play the game Clue and realize those are all the ways to suicide yourself.
Pipe
Right?
wrench.
Yeah, bridge. Yeah, jump up a bridge. Yeah, a bridge. Yeah,
No, not a bridge, a pipe wrench.
pipe wrench. Yeah, yeah.
Pipe wrench.
I thought you said
No,
bridge.
in the library with a pipe wrench.
I've heard people say that before. Like there was no bridges that is in this town that he lived in. Like there was nowhere high to jump up like that. It seemed like a lot of work. Like I'm going to go up into this greenhouse and I'm going to shoot all this heroin. And then
Yeah.
I'm going to lug the shotgun or I'm going to load it. I'm going to figure out how to operate it while I'm laying on my back. And then I'm going to do it. And it was like, how many bridges did you pass on your way to doing all of these things? You know what I mean? Like that.
A very poorly thought out suicide. You're right. You know what? It's if there was a play-by-play commentary, it's gonna get really sloppy around that. You know, it's just like, and as you can see, he's doing the heroin. Is this going to be your simple overdose? No, there's a shotgun there, Tom. There's a shotgun. If there was a play-by-play commentary.
This must have been the worst. This must have been the worst heroin ever, that he could take so much of it and be like, now I'm going to go do activities. It's like, last I heard, that's not really how heroin works. I mean, I don't know, but I've been led to believe that it is somewhat incapacitating.
You know, I think I look at heroin kind of like the Lord of the Rings. If you do too much of it, you end up looking like Schmeagol. You know, by the end of it, you're like, ah! Just, you know, you get your hair all out, you know, your teeth are all like fucking out of there. If you do too much of anything, if you start to resemble Schmeagol from Lord of the Rings, you've done something too much in your life.
See now, Ricky, much. You missed it out. You missed out on the beginning of the show when Kevin first came in.
The problem wasn't that he was doing heroin; it was that he was doing too much heroin.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. They should have read the directions on the fucking bag.
He didn't keep it at a reasonable amount.
Yeah, the needle said, "Don't put dope in me." The needle said, "Insulin use only," and they're like, "Fuck! I can only put insulin in these needles."
How dare he not Google that?
We've all been there. It's like you needed I need a Phillips head. You know what I mean? Like,
oh god, I don't know if you guys caught it though. Tony, were you watching any of the Tom Brady celebrity roast?
Of course, he's my man lover.
He is Tony's crush.
How do
you guys
he's
watch
my man
this
crush.
shit? Oh.
You know what? It was an interesting show. A lot of dark humor, but he did have his Will Smith moment.
He did.
He did.
Yeah, somebody brought up the whole Robert Kraft massage thing. I think it was Jeffrey Ross.
It was Jeffrey Ross, yeah.
And Tom Brady got up. You know, he's like, "Hold on." I'm thinking, first of all, I didn't even know there was going to be a roast of Tom Brady. And I'm thinking to myself, if you're Tom Brady, why do you want this to happen at all? You've won how many? 6 Super Bowls? You've been in the NFL for 20 years. You were married to a supermodel, and she was like, "Tom, are you going to retire, come home and have sex with me every night? Or are you going to shower with men and throw balls around while potentially getting concussion riddled?" And he hesitated. And she's like, "What the fuck are you hesitating? What are you hesitating for?"
It took a minute. He had to figure it out.
It took a minute until he's like, "I'm going to do one more year." She's like, "We're getting divorced. I've been cheating on you this whole time." And that'd be great if they were cheating on each other with the same personal trainer. You know?
never made any sense to me. And then they're like, oh, he was never home. Tom Brady was never home. And I'm like, he works 1 day a week, 12 weeks a year. The fuck you mean he wasn't home? Where the fuck was he?
You gotta be on the road.
Anytime that he's at work, he's on camera. Like, we know where he is. He's like, you were talking to some bitch. He's like, I was literally on NBC. 14 million people were watching me, Giselle. No, I was not, quote unquote, talking to her.
Yeah, I think that she was probably just at the limit where she's like, dude, you still play football? And he's like, yeah. She's like, you gotta stop that shit. You know, like you just.
Well, he was talking about playing professional golf for a while, and then he has a gambling problem, and you know, there's a lot of fun stuff that comes along with being a celebrity.
Yeah, Tom Brady bought Dogcoin when it was fucking 40 cents a coin.
And then he lost $30 million.
Yeah.
What they talking about? Yeah. That's what I'm saying. $30 million. Imagine you can't tell a winner from a loser, and you're fucking Tom Brady betting on sports. You don't know. you can't tell the good ones from the bad ones. Holy shit! When I heard about that, it was like the last one I heard about was like, when you think about gambling in sports, I always go right to Pete Rose, right? And it was like, you never hear this, but like, he was on a run. It's not like he was in the fucking hole. It's not like he had the bookies looking for him. Like, from what I can understand, like they say that Jordan was a bad gambler and he ain't racked up debts. But the gambling never really caught up to Pete Rose. He just won too much.
Jordan was such a bad gambler. His father was found dead in a lake.
Yeah,
that's true.
Because
of his bad debts, yeah.
No, there was a murder investigation. They're like, they found some kid, and this kid was probably a scapegoat. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but this is the story we're told to believe. Kid's walking around, sees Michael Jordan's dad fishing, decides to murder him. Fucking, that doesn't make any sense. You don't just decide to murder somebody if you're walking. First of all, anybody that's ever walked a fucking mile knows that is a tiring thing to do. If you're a kid or anything, right? You're in the North Carolina sun. You are tired. You have no energy to murder.
Zero energy.
It felt out of place. And then Jordan says, "Oh, I'm going to take a year off basketball so that way I can mourn my father, and also I'm going to play some baseball so that way I can gamble. I mean, you know, do my childhood dream thing."
Is the world's tallest baseball player for a season, and that he was in the minors, right? He was
only in the minors. Yep.
He was in the White Sox farm league. He was. I don't even think he was there. I think he was in their AAA team or their AA team. I don't even think it was their AAA.
Michael Jordan was to baseball is what Tim Tebow was to preseason football. Just there for the jerseys.
I vaguely remember Tim Tebow. He was the guy that prayed a lot, right?
He did the Tebow, you know, the kneeling.
Right. And then and then the next year he came out and he
did the kneeling before Kaepernick did the kneeling.
He did the kneeling for God, and Kaepernick did the kneeling so that way police brutality would end. And they were like, whoa, do that after you score a touchdown, not during the national anthem. And he's like, what's the difference? They're like, because you're a jerk.
And then don't talk smack about it.
There's you always want, in entertainment, you're always you want your couple of minutes on camera, a couple seconds even will do. Especially like on a national broadcast, so time is so valuable.
I'm going to try to narrate what Ricky is doing on camera right now. He is a cigar connoisseur, and he is stroking a cigar right now. Ricky, what kind of cigar are you holding right there?
I have an AJ Fernandez New World Especial. It's a Connecticut Toro with a 52 ring gauge. So this ought to be yummy here in a little bit. Right now, what I'm doing is I'm kind of loosening up the tobacco just to make sure that the draw is good, because nobody likes a bad draw on their cigar.
It's like the worst thing when you try to make a good cigar and you're like, you see your sales and you're like, wow, my sales are so great. Who's smoking these? And it's just like, oh, people just throw away the tobacco and they use it as a blunt wrap for your fucking
Well,
the Game the Rapper had to have been like, no.
Yeah.
with hand rolled cigars, like with a premium cigar, it's really, really tough to do that. I definitely wouldn't recommend it. And like this cigar right here, but they retail for about $11. There's way cheaper ways that you could roll up. There's way cheaper ways to roll up your weed, and it's going to be cut like in the cross sections across the cigar. You're talking about like strips about that thick. So if you were to cut this, you would just get down to the next level of leaf. Tobacco leaf isn't really great for rolling blunts. Blunts are really great for rolling blunts, but it's almost like in this situation, it's like I'll have the cereal and then I'll have the milk. Like I'll smoke my joint out of a job wrapper because I don't want this to taste like weed and I don't want that to taste like cigars.
You know what kind of monster drinks their milk first before they eat their cereal?
I'm looking in the camera at a monster that drinks his milk first. You got it. Sometimes you got it, but it's like I like Oreo ice cream, and I love tuna fish hoagies, and I don't want to taste them both at the same time.
Ooh, no.
See what I'm saying?
That is a weird combination. That's like whiskey and cheesecake.
Right, right. If I was to recommend rolling papers, I would always recommend Job 1 1/4 because it's fucking paper. Not only is it just fucking paper, but it's paper you're going to set on fire. So I don't see the need to be overspending on things we're going to burn. So like,
yeah, I mean, you know, it's if you're gonna buy a house just to burn it down, you might as well buy a piece of shit. You don't need a brand new one, right, Tony?
You're right.
And Tony, I gotta throw this out here before we forget about it. Tony, you posted the most popular story on the Podguyz podcast Facebook fan page 2 weeks in a row now.
2 weeks in a row. How dare I?
Fuck.
I think you're trying to make it a competition, but you're never gonna win.
I win sometimes. Sometimes I swear to God, sometimes I just post a picture of a dog taking a shit on the sidewalk and boom, post reaches 2,000. And you're like, really? That's what you're all right. A televangelist from Arkansas claims Satan is engineering Taylor Swift's marriage to Travis Kelce so she can give birth to the Antichrist and launch the apocalyptic 1,000-year war against Christ. Now, what I like about biblical bullshit like this is they always have a whole number you can wrap your arms around, like 1,000. Because if you called it, who can take a war of 999 years seriously?
Sure.
It's like, it's only been 999 years. Pussies. So, Ricky, what do you think? Do you think that Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce are going to create the Antichrist child?
You want to talk about Taylor Swift for real?
It's just a question. You can say yes or no, and we can move on immediately.
Yes or no question.
Perfectly fine.
It's not a complicated answer. Not convoluted in any way.
We could just move right on. I don't think the world needs any more.
Put it on that board right there, pal. We want to see what the Antichrist child of Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce might look like.
Hold on a minute.
Uh-oh.
He's in the midst.
All right, so I'll add on to this particular conversation that this televangelist, of course, is one of the mega pastors. And, you know, of course, getting multi-million-dollar a year salary for himself, buying multi jets, houses, cars, you know, all that fun stuff.
Are we talking about somebody in particular?
No, because there's probably six individual multi-million-dollar televangelists right now.
Right.
And they all prey on the, not necessarily prey on the weak, but
come on now, Tony. Call for what it is.
Do.
You got these televangelists out there. They hear that some popular musician is dating an even more popular football star. Maybe I got them a little mixed up there as far as popularity goes.
Yeah. He is here
enabling for them to get a message across to the elderly people and the brain damaged people that are constantly taking what they're saying word for word as truth from the Bible. They'll pick one celebrity and another celebrity that are dating and saying they will make the Antichrist. It's a pretty easy formula. And
did somebody say that?
This is exactly what happened. It says a televangelist from Arkansas, welcome to Arkansas, claims Satan is engineering Taylor Swift's marriage to Travis Kelce so she can give birth to the Antichrist and launch a 1,000-year war.
When? No, well
that's what the whole thing is. That's what the whole thing is, dude. They're like they're throwing it out there, just like saying, hey, these two people you know. And they're like, yeah, what about Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift? When they fuck and they have a baby, and what about it? That will be the Antichrist. And they're like, holy shit. What the fuck does that mean? 1,000-year war. Mic drop.
Well, I mean, I don't know. That seems like a lot.
It does. It seems like a wild story that no one should believe.
Because it is, DJ Ricky, because it is.
Where is this guy at? Like, where did you see this? But where did you see it? You didn't go to Arkansas, obviously. You didn't go see it in televangelist. So, like, where did you see it? I'm asking because I want to go watch it.
Era's Music Magazine reported that televangelist William Theodore Rigsby. There you go.
That's
William Theodore Rigsby has put down. There you go.
Reverend
I can
Rigsby.
call myself a reverend too. You got to keep the rev. There you go. I just said the words. Then Sparky's got the painting right there of the new Antichrist.
Bigsby.
Be gone, devil, for I will use the ball of God. Stay away from me, Brady. So, Ricky, how long have you been in the DJ business?
Not long, 25 years. Give or take. Yeah, 25 years. On the 30th of May, it will be 25 years.
You don't sound too confident. You're like, there's an off year or something like that.
I switched to indica today, so some of this is permanent.
Okay.
But I'm going to say it was May of 99. And that my first booking was May the 30th. And then, so May the 30th of 2024 would be 25 years if my math is correct.
So I guess the major question is you've been a DJ. Did you do parties, bar mitzvahs?
Yeah.
All that.
I
fun,
never did
weddings.
I never did a bar mitzvah, and it's amazing because for 25 years, I've advertised that I do bar mitzvahs. I've never done a single bar mitzvah. I'm not
okay to do them, right?
If you're looking for
not only am I not against it, I'm actively advertising that I do them when in fact I don't do them apparently. I can and I'd like to. There's a song that's called Hava Nagila, right?
Yeah.
I don't even have it. I'd have to download it. I'm not against downloading it, but that's how much experience I have at bar mitzvahs. None. I've been very, very popular wedding DJ, but not, and a very, very popular strip club DJ, but not.
So inquiring minds want to know.
Nagila.
Inquiring minds want to know, DJ Ricky, what is the weirdest thing that you have seen while DJing? Because I've DJ'd for quite a while in different venues at some point in my life, and I gotta ask, what's the weirdest thing that you've seen while out on the road?
That's a tough one. It's a really tough one.
See, Sparky can draw these things too. He could think up of one or two things that DJ Tony. Could obviously
Ricky, what immediate story just like sticks out of your head immediately when I ask that question? You're just like, and you can just blurt it out and you got it.
100 different stories are running towards the finish line right now, and nobody's crossed it yet. but
Okay.
there's it could be, and there's a big part of this might be that things that were weird when they happened, they aren't necessarily weird anymore because the world is a weird place.
That's fine,
that's
but
true.
at the time, even at the time.
Well, I mean, I think along the lines of what you're looking for is one time this lady came in and it was early, and I'm gonna say she was about 60 years old, give or take, and she looked like a 60-year-old lady. And she comes running into the club and she's like, "Are you guys hiring?" And I was like, "Well, yeah, why? What position are you looking?"
Gonna stop you there. What kind of club was it?
It was the strip club.
Thank you.
It was a straight up.
There we go.
That's a good fill in the blank right there. 60-year-old
I
walking
worked at
in
one of
to
those.
Let me be clear.
Yeah.
It was a strip club. It was a large strip club. And she came in and I was running the shift that day. And she said, "Are you guys hiring?" And I was like, "Well, for what position?" And she's like, "Dancers." I said, "Well, we're always hiring dancers." And she was like, "Okay, well, can I audition within the next hour?" And I'm like, "Can you audition within the next hour?" "No, you cannot audition at all. And that's not going to happen." And she was like, "Well, why not?" And I'm like, "Well,"
Did you inform her how gross she looked or no?
No. I just said, right now we're focusing on younger talent, and maybe somebody with your experience, I think, would be better suited maybe for a different club than this club, because we tend to hire girls that have 30 years experience or less. So like you're kind of out of our price range. And she said, "Well, that's discrimination." I said, "Well, yes, it's discrimination. It's a strip club." Like, you know what I mean? If you want to talk to her, you're already talking to the HR department over here. So I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. And she got in a huff. She was mad. And
she called the ACLU, or
her husband comes in.
Oh.
And
turns out he's the president of the AARP.
I bet you he collects stamps or has a train habit or something.
He stood very patiently at the front desk. The girls several times tried to take admission from him, like, "Okay, $15, $20 to get in." And he's like, "Oh, I'm waiting to talk to the manager." All right. So I don't know how long he'd been standing there, but I walked over and I said, "Okay, what can I help you with, sir?" I'm figuring it's a customer. He had a problem with the ice in his drink, whatever. And he says, "I want to know why you wouldn't hire my wife." And just all the dots connected in my head. And I said, "Let's be honest here, buddy. If you owned this joint, right, and I hired your wife to work here, would I have a job tomorrow?" If you came in here and saw that woman on the stage, let me get this straight. You would know I hired her, but you wouldn't fire me. And he was like, "I don't understand what you're saying." I'm like, "This is my job, bro. Like, if I do that shit, I'm going to get fired."
Yeah.
I don't know whatever kind of domestic situation you two got, that your 60-year-old wife is coming in here looking for a job as a stripper.
My God, could you imagine her on a pole breaking a hip?
I would say the best place to locate the answers to his questions would be wherever your wife is right now, because it seems like you got a lot more to talk to her about than you need to talk to me about.
Look, Rick, times are tough right now, okay?
Right.
Madonna needs a job somewhere.
I can't hire her.
Wouldn't hire Madonna if Madonna and her 60-year-old ass walked in there and said, "Hey,
we don't do. We're not really negotiating with international talent right now." But I can put her.
We'll take down your number and we'll give you a call back.
You can take down her number if you have a Facebook that you'd like to link to the clubs. That would be great. But for right now,
that feels like a last desperate attempt at things where her husband said, "Well, looks like you're gonna have to strip again."
Oh, wait.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Oh, Justin,
Yeah, call.
her OnlyFans is Geritol at onlyfans.com.
Check it out.
Yeah.
Of course she has an OnlyFans. There was a girl that came in, and her name was Smiley. And Smiley was 19 years old, and she only wore skates. She had a million different pairs of skates, but she only wore roller skates. I never saw her in a pair of shoes. And we used to have a shower stage where girls could like do a show, and like it says. And she wore her skates in the shower. I just thought of another one too, but let me finish this one. And I was like, why would you? Because I'm thinking like the stage is elevated and it's wet. And I'm like, why in the world would you wear skates onto a tile floor? Like, and she's like, yeah, you're right. The wheels will rust. And I'm like, you can count that. She might even end up watching this. I worked with a girl whose dancer name was Summer. Okay. And she was about 19 years. I'm going to say she was about 19 when this happened. And this was slightly before, to give you the idea of how long ago this was, it was before Uber, because the guy who brought her was just a straight up cab driver. And it's funny that you'll on Wednesday night, you'll cash the girl out at $1,500, straight cash, here you go. And then the very next day at 5 o'clock when the club opens, you have to front her the money for her taxi. Yeah, well, you've been gone for 14 hours. Where did you spend $1,500 that you don't have? That you don't have 10. That happens more often than you think for lots of different reasons. But this happens a lot. They don't all come in ass naked though, but she did. Out of the back of this taxi, she comes running into the building. She's got no clothes on. Runs right into the dressing room. Calls me on her phone from the dressing room. Asks, can I pay this cab driver out of the register? And then I said, am I hallucinating or did you just run through the club in your bare ass? And she said, I was running late. Okay, I didn't have time to get dressed. You wanted me to be here on time, didn't you? Yeah, well, I guess you're here on time. So I went out to pay the cab driver, and he looks like he just found a genie. he's having the best day ever. And
she has to pay for the cab ride?
Well, yeah, but that was, they have house fee. They'll just add it onto her house fee. But I was like, all right, well, what do I owe you, pal? And he's like, I think he was Russian. He's like, it's $14. And I'm like, I can give you 15. I said, I don't know what to tell you about a tip. And he goes, I already got my tip. Right. And he took his 15 bucks. He took his $15 and he left. Then I went back into the dressing room and I said, if it's illegal, the whole thing I used to tell the girls was like, you have to know that if it's illegal to do it out of the club, it's illegal to do it in the club. Laws don't disappear just because you came to work in here. So if you end up, like, for instance, fighting another girl, well, you're going to get charged with assault.
Well, okay, hold on now. Hold on. In the club, they can strip and ride up on a guy, right?
They can. Okay. And I think that's where Summer was going with that, was
illegal outside of the club.
Right.
Totally legal inside of the club.
And she got confused and was like, this thing that I do in the club must also be legal on the street. So she went and did that. But like I said, I think she had too much sun that day. I think she really didn't get a good breakfast. And just the you know what I mean? The wires.
I would say I would probably throw out there just
not enough protein in her day.
Was she like, was she like strung out? Just like, oh, fuck it, I'm gonna be naked at the club anyways. I'm gonna just run on the cab.
I wish that was the case, because then I'd know. It's like, oh, they're not all a mess on drugs. Like, I mean, that's a misconception. I'm gonna say a lot of them are, but a lot of people in society in general. So like, I would say it's no it's not represented any higher in that industry, really, than it is represented in any other industry. The ones that do it in my industry, though, they're not making a secret of it because they already assume everybody already thinks this. So,
Tony, wasn't Sparky at that club or no?
He was at that club. He has hidden footage from that particular club.
I thought that Sparky didn't have photo ID.
Oh my God, there's the hidden footage right there.
It's a lovely picture, and it says, "And now on stage, stop shooting tennis balls at me and get grandma and her walker off the stage."
Ah, man, you know, and you thought there was no photo evidence of that, Ricky.
Her hair's green.
Right in front of you in crystal clear 1080 HP graphic right there.
As I live and breathe.
Yeah.
As we all do. As we all do.
I remember I've seen vicious beatings from security onto drunk guys that jumped up on stage. Those were always great. I don't know how the statute of limitations on those things work, so I'm not going to say any people or places. But it's like, do you guys remember being in school and somebody yells fight and half the school's like, oh, fight? Like, nobody ever didn't go watch the fight. You know what I mean? And it's like, as you get older, it just gets better because it's like, it's not just two people fighting, it's these gigantic bouncers. And they're a fucking Godzilla on somebody, and this is always entertaining.
Folding people like lawn chairs.
Just in that category, they had a thing that they had it put in the beginning. I'm thinking of one particular club. Again, I'm not getting specific, but the bouncers had, first it was in chalk. They'd put it in chalk every night, and then they got it spray painted onto the parking lot right outside the door. It's that they would have a contest with each other when they're throwing these people out of the club. How far can you throw them? And they had like 3 lines, and it was like a running contest. And it's like, imagine being a customer in that business, and it's like, this is how the security thinks. They're dying for you to get out of line so that they can go play the game that they set up in the park. It was great. It was great.
True. It's a true fact, though.
Yeah. Welcome to the adult entertainment business.
Speaking of an adult film star, Cher is in the news one more time.
Woo! What a shit news for this
Yeah,
guy.
Cher as in the entertainer, the Cher.
Right on. Of Sonny and Cher fame.
Cher has a certain preference going on here, Tony. Cher 77 says she prefers younger boyfriends because men her age are all dead. Amid romance with Alexander A.E. Edwards, 38 years old.
That's not bad. Oh, everybody my age is dead.
No, she's 77.
Bad.
She's 77 years old.
She's not wrong.
She's legally able to retire.
She's like, who the fuck am I supposed to date?
They're like, Cher, why aren't you having sex with somebody who's dead? She's like, what's wrong with that's a bad question.
She's like, they're in the fucking cemetery. That's why I don't go out with guys my age.
Yeah. Well, this is the thing, Tony. If she could turn back time, and she does.
Man, I was just gonna put out that line myself. God damn it.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
How many people you figure at her high school reunion? She could have that reunion at a booth at McDonald's.
Come on now, Ricky. She didn't graduate high school. Hollywood kidnapped her. Sonny Bono with his pedo mustache kidnapped her.
No, she's Canadian. She is Canadian.
They didn't even have schools back then.
No, they didn't. They had moose.
Like that old woman that came into the club. It's like she was a stripper before poles were invented. She was just spinning around on a fucking 2x4.
He's 77-year-old, has a long-standing fondness for younger men, and is currently dating record executive Alexander Edwards, 38 years old. Now she has explained that her rationale for dating younger men is that the older ones were all intimidated by her personality.
Didn't she get married to a guy that was like the cashier at the bagel place that she went to?
I mean, maybe. I'm going to throw maybe out there. But,
she's had a lot of husbands.
Normally,
but I don't know that this guy was a husband.
I'm not sure. She would apparently she would rather date later generations who were raised by women like me, and as a result, we never we're never scared of her or whatever. I guess she likes the young bone right there, Tony.
Well, how old?
She was married twice.
Sherilyn Sarkisian. Cher is an American singer, actress, and television personality. She is American. I was mistaken that she wasn't Canadian. Often referred to as by the media as the goddess of pop.
Ricky is actually right about the Bagel Boy guy, Rob, who became known as the Bagel Boy because he worked in a bagel shop, was Cher's Oscar date when she won Best Actress for Moonstruck in 1988, proving just how unfuckable Nicolas Cage was at the time. She and Alexander first became acquainted at Paris Fashion Week in September 2022, and blah, 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 confirmed their romance. Yeah, she was trolled on social media because of the age gap. And she says, love doesn't know math unless you're measuring in inches and ages and dates. And, you know, I've heard pedophiles use that same defense. Love doesn't.
Love is ageless.
We could be reading a Jerry Sandusky article.
Hey, Kevin, I got the list, Kevin. I got the list.
You got the list, okay.
She was only married twice, but over the years, when she was 16, she briefly dated Warren Beatty.
Okay.
She was 16 when she dated Warren Beatty.
And then she married Sonny.
He was 25.
Mm-hmm.
The famous Sonny of
She
Sonny
married
and Cher.
Sonny.
Right, and then Greg Allman after that, right?
And then 4 days after she divorced Sonny, then it was Greg Allman.
Right.
She also dated David Griffin. David Geffen.
Geffen, there you go.
Yeah.
Greg Allman. Let's see here.
Banging David
Gene Simmons.
Yeah, I might as well marry you. Right?
Val Kilmer.
Well, she went right out of Sonny Bono into in the Greg Allman.
Yes.
He said,
Josh Donnan.
Yeah. Now the pictures, if you look up Cher online, she doesn't look like your typical 77-year-old woman. So either she is in fantastic genetic health and is getting a random assortment of daily stem cells injected into her, or eating babies or something like that, or bathing in blood, or she's wearing a wig and had some plastic surgeries, because no fucking way somebody looks this unwrinkled at the age of 77. DJ Ricky, I'm going to tell you right now, man, if Cher walked in and said she wanted to strip for you, you would say right this way there, man. Unless 40 is a little too old for the poll.
Well, I mean, 77.
Yeah, she kind of looks like
what kind of joint you think I'm running here, kind of thing.
You know what? You never know. You never know if you're at a some sort of geriatric home, and you need to make some extra money, and you get the old folks around there, and you're like, hey, anybody want to see some young biddies? And it doesn't turn out to be young biddies; it turns to be old biddies.
No, I'm seeing. I mean, I've seen some disasters.
Here we go.
Oh, yep.
What is it?
It was Tom Cruise. Then it was the Bagel Boy that she dated. Then it was Richie Sambora. Then it was Ron Zimmerman.
Oh, I forgot about Richie Zambora. Yeah.
Then it was Alexander Edwards, and that's the last.
That's a hell of a stat sheet, though, right there. You know, if she had a baseball card full of dicks, you know, like you flip that over, and you're like, oh my god, all right.
Yeah, she'd be the one yelling up.
Like you got like the years in that, you know. Like a couple of people, when older people, Ricky, when older people like to discuss their health problems with me, and I'm older now, I'm 38 years old, but whenever they say, "Oh, I've had this wrong," I normally just, the only way I get out of those conversations is saying, "It's a hell of a stat sheet there." So,
okay,
yeah,
okay,
yeah, because they feel proud of themselves. They're like, "Yeah, I guess it is." Yeah, fucking.
I feel like they're always warning us, like this is gonna happen. This is what you're looking down the barrel of.
I mean, I feel like they're somewhat secretly proud of that, like, and on my second hip, it's like, dude, this is not even close to being a conversation for people. But Tony, bigger news coming in the wire right now from IndieWire, and you know the story.
I love IndieWire, man.
Yep,
Love IndieWire.
Dan Schneider, former creator and showrunner.
Dan Schneider
Of the Nickelodeon series All That, iCarly and Zoe 101 is suing the producers of the hit documentary series Quiet on Set. He's for defamation of character.
Yeah, I don't know, man.
I mean,
don't be talking shit, I guess.
This is what happens when Hollywood airs its dirty laundry.
Like my old man used to say, like, this is what happens when you run your mouth.
Well, are you gonna call every child you interacted with like liars? Yeah, like you defamed my name, and you did too, and you did. Like, this isn't a Bill Cosby scenario where you have already put yourself up there. You know what I say, Rick? Bill Cosby reminds me of the Total Bowl commercial. Remember the Total Bowl commercial? You can have 15 bowls of corn flakes, or you can have one bowl total. Remember that?
Oh yes, I do remember that.
If one woman came forward with Bill Cosby, people said, "I don't know, that's not enough bowls right there. I don't believe you. That's not enough women." It took 33 women. That was the number that they needed. 33 women to take down Bill Cosby for everyone to be 100% convinced that he was a date rapist. Dan Schneider is up to 33 children. I think 33 is the magic number. And Dan Schneider, by the way, isn't Bill Cosby. He had no career where he was a wholesome character type person.
For me, it's complicated because you never want to be the guy that's like, these kids aren't telling the truth. Like, these kids are lying. You never want to be that guy. And not for nothing, I don't know anybody involved in it. So how could I make a character assumption about somebody like they're lying? Like, because anytime you say, there's implications when you're saying somebody's lying, and it's not just that you're not being honest and you're saying something that's dishonest or untrue, that you're doing it intentionally. That's an integrity thing to say somebody's lying. And I don't know these people well enough to know anybody's integrity. So I would never want to say this one's lying, this one's telling the truth. I encourage anybody that ever had any kind of, looking at something, it's like, that doesn't make any sense. When you look at the Michael Jackson case, as that's gone on through the civil court since he's gone, okay? It's still going on today. This man's been dead over a decade, okay? Still getting sued.
Even Blanket, I forget what his real name is, but Blanket,
kickstand, blanket, ball,
yeah.
Ball.
He's actually doing for his dad's namesake.
Yeah,
a lot of different things right now as well.
And it's gotten to, these cases in civil court have gotten to the point where it's like, there's just nobody there to be like, okay, there's no Michael there anymore. So there is no person that would be the person in court saying, this is absolute bullshit. They're giving you fucking math that doesn't even add up. Like, what they're saying contradicts their story from 5 years ago so that they could do this. It gets so frustrating because it's to the point now where it's like, literally everyone knows you are being either you're being incredibly dishonest or you are trying to cash in on this bad experience. Which either way you slice it is, like, again, a huge integrity thing.
I agree with you 100% when it comes to money. So they were trying to cash in on the Michael Jackson thing, and that's a thing, okay? These Nickelodeon kids haven't asked for a dollar. You know,
No,
they have
no, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know that much about it. Like,
oh, you mean that they're lying about you for free? I mean, you know, like
I always thought like, okay, you say you guys are big wrestling fans, right?
sure.
Okay, a couple of months ago when that stuff first came out with Vince McMahon and Janelle Grant, and like all those awful texts and all those awful fucking emails, and it's like I want to be like that weekend they had a press conference after one of the premium live events, and somebody was at and Triple H, Paul Levesque was answering the question, and they said, "What do you think about this situation with Vince and his emails and all this nonsense?" He goes, "I didn't see him. Didn't see him. Next question." And it's like I kind of feel like Triple H in that situation. It's like I am nowhere near having enough information where I'm going to get up in front of anybody and say this is the position I take.
Oh yeah.
So no. You cannot feel like Triple H in this situation because Nickelodeon has never cut you a check. Vince McMahon has been cutting this guy's checks for fucking years. He even said, "Fuck my daughter." All right, like there's a lot of incentive for Triple H. There's a lot of incentive for Triple H to say, "I didn't see shit." You know, to draw your own conclusion with context clues of children and a documentary and on-camera footage and stuff. I mean, it's to say it's kind of creepy, you know. And for Dan Schneider to go ahead and just sue for defamation, first off, is already a defense tactic to begin with, because I think that he feels like the walls are closing in on him, sort of thing.
But it's money.
Not necessarily. The funny thing is that they put out that hit piece. Well, he calls it a hit piece, but for him, he said that. Let me say, actually, is official statement. Schneider says his portrayal in the investigation Discovery series, which peels the layers back on alleged child abuse, including in some cases sexual abuse on Nickelodeon series of the era, is a hit job, and that his reputation has been destroyed by the popularity of the series. The suit names Warner Brothers, Discovery, Maxim Productions, Sony Pictures, and directors Mary Robertson and Emma Schwartz. Officially in the lawsuit,
because it was about him. He was the lead character in a movie that he didn't get 5 cents for.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'd be suing too.
Yeah.
Here's a statement.
No movie.
Here's a statement from Dan Schneider. He says, "There is no doubt that I was sometimes a bad leader." Schneider wrote, "I am sincerely apologetic and regretful for the behavior, and I will continue to take accountability for it. However, after seeing Quiet on Set and its trailer and the reactions to them, I sadly have no choice but to take legal action against the people behind it. In their successful attempt to mislead viewers and increase ratings, they went beyond reporting the truth and falsely implied that I was involved in or facilitated horrific crimes for which actual child predators have been prosecuted and convicted." Here's a good question for Dan Schneider then. Why are all of your friends child predators and former convicted child predators and always on a list?
And whistleblowers.
You're the only person in your group, not a pedophile, that hasn't been convicted. It's kind of weird, you know, it just feels kind of weird. And that could be the situation. He could be the one person that just so happens to be hanging out with every child predator in the room who he gave a job to.
And not know that they're child predators.
Very coincidentally, could be. You know, and if that's the feather that he's floating on and calling it a fucking airplane of a defense, he's gonna sink real goddamn fast.
That shit's on fire.
I'm telling you right now, man. Like there is what Amanda Bynes is gonna be the nail in the coffin for this guy, and this is gonna give her the last laugh. You know.
How was Jamie Spears not the fucking nail in the coffin for this guy?
You would think, well, she is the less popular of the Spears.
Still a little kid. I mean, come on now.
Yeah, I know.
She was at the time, but it was just like
Ariana Grande has not really come out big time for the idea. I mean, you know, there were more. It was more than just Dan Schneider in the documentary, although he's trying to make it a majority.
But I mean, even if you look at the bigger names in the picture, they have a lot more to lose coming forward than they do being quiet.
Who has a lot
true.
more to lose?
Like your
All of them.
Ariana Grande, you know.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, you're
Or the girl from fucking from iCarly. I forget her the main star's name.
Miranda Cosgrove.
Miranda Cosgrove. There you go.
Right.
I know she's doing some big stuff. She's got her name out in the movies. She's got some big roles coming up and on her own merit as well.
Which, you know, there's not Tony. There's not too many jokes you can get away with. I tried doing one at the show down at Ricky's show down there at Old Time Charlie's with the Nickelodeon with the Nickelodeon child molestation thing. There's a fine line to walk when writing a joke about this, but it's just
you nailed it. You got it 100% right.
But
it's like, who are these kids fucking that they get their own show?
I said when I was watching it when I was a kid, and I never found the shows funny at all. So I always said to myself, and it didn't age very well. It was just like, who are these kids fucking? And apparently it was the producer, but he is suing for defamation of character. Which, I mean, if you're going to sue anybody, don't sue Nickelodeon, just sue yourself.
Yeah.
Because you defamed your own character by acting the way you did around children.
In the IndieWire portrayal, it does say Quiet on Set's portrayal of Schneider as a hit job. The lawsuit from Schneider's attorneys, Jana Moser and Richard McKee. While it is indisputable that two bona fide sexual predators, abusers, worked on Nickelodeon shows, it is likewise indisputable that Schneider had no knowledge of their abuse, was not complicit in the abuse, condemned the abuse, and once it was discovered and critically, was not a child sexual abuser himself. So despite the clickbait, the ratings, the popularity of the show, he's calling it a hit piece. Mm-hmm. But look, it is what it is, man. You got called out. You got called out specifically by 3, 4, 5 different people.
They made a movie about
creepy
him.
And weird.
They made a movie about him, and he didn't get paid. Dan wants his payday.
He wants his payday.
Settle out of court. None of these things ever actually end up. You often hear
very
this
rare.
One's gonna, it's like, you always hear this one's going to sue that one, or this one is suing that one, but you never hear, okay, this went to trial. This is what the jury said. No, it always comes out to he's not looking for anybody to get charged. He's not looking for anything like that. He just wants his check. So I'm sure he's going to get a check. It's just how big is the check, and this is what he had to do to get the check.
Well, the big one was Drake Bell from Drake and Josh,
right?
Who came forward and said that he was sexually abused by a director of the show,
and he got in trouble too, though, right? Drake Bell.
Eventually, he got in trouble, but he, like his thing was bringing forward a child predator who, was doing illicit stuff on the show,
right? I didn't, full disclosure, I didn't watch Quiet on this Set. I mean, I'm aware of what it's about, but that came a little bit after my time. Like, I can remember, like, Nickelodeon in my day was like Double Dare, and you can't do that on television. And I wasn't really, after I'm going to say maybe 8 or 9, I mean, I watched Ren and Stimpy here and there.
They were cool. Yeah. They were the first, like, close-up graphic kind of,
Yeah. I wasn't watching Rugrats, you know what I mean? I wasn't watching Doug. I wasn't watching anything on Nickelodeon.
Even for kids that were watching Rugrats, what they find entertaining about baby stalking? I think we were all baby talked out with the whole "look who's talking now" and every fucking Hugs commercial, all that bullshit. You know,
I don't know. I was already grown out of that. Like I don't. Barney wasn't part of my like childhood. I guess he was around. But, I didn't really have Elmo. I had Grover, I had Bert and Ernie. You know what I mean? They were pushing Telly hard. Does nobody remembers Telly? It seemed like when I was a little kid on Sesame Street, Telly was like the central character of the show. Now nobody ever talks about Telly. They got rid of him.
Once they couldn't sell tickle dolls of him, then they were
Nobody
like,
would buy it. He's like,
Tickle me,
like,
Tully's.
he's like, I always felt like Telly's character was like this terrified latchkey kid whose parents are like perpetually at work, and it was, man, this dude's hard to watch. Everything makes him nervous. And then Elmo came along, they phased him out, just like fucking Roger Cunningham.
It was always suspicious to me with it was always Mr. Rogers was always like when I was a kid watching Mr. Rogers, my first thought was that there was something mentally wrong with the guy. And I was like, I said, is this guy all right? He doesn't have any friends. Yeah. He just has
talks to puppets all the time.
He's got puppets going on. He's got the mailman. And if you're Mr. Rogers' next door neighbor, you're never getting your mail on time. You're just like fucking watching the truck outside like that motherfucker. I hear them playing the piano again. It felt like there was something mentally wrong with him because nobody talks that softly. And that's what I thought when I was a kid. I know he's a nice guy or whatever, but when you're first introduced to something when you're a child, even then I thought he was a little, loosen the screw. Loosen the gears.
There was this whole thing. I always struck it because it struck me as weird was like, these days when soldiers come home, like they have all kinds of like psychiatric help for them, all kinds of resources. Okay. But coming home for World War II, there was nothing, like literally nothing. And he always struck me as one of these guys, Mr. Rogers, right? That he's one bad mood away from blowing up his town. And he has everything very, very regimented in his life. There's lots of stuff going on in his head. And all of the people around him are well aware of this. And they are handling him so gently because they understand the slightest thing. And Mr. Rogers is going to go haywire.
I get what it is. Mr. Rogers is the perfect Batman villain.
Kind of.
Definitely the perfect Batman villain. The least perfect Batman villain is Joaquin Phoenix.
That's true. Yeah.
Oh man, Ricky, did you see the movie The Joker or no?
I did.
So, what was your take on it? Did you enjoy the movie? Did you hate it? It's an older movie now.
It was all right. I enjoyed it when I watched it. There's worse movies to watch.
There are worse movies. There are better movies to watch. Very mid-ground to bad.
It's fine. I'm not going to buy a T-shirt, but it was fine.
I don't know. I was extremely disappointed. I get movie snobby though, like that's just my thing. Tony's thing too, and this is why we get along. This is our good dynamic where it's just when we really enjoy something and when something gets enough credit and not enough credit or whatever, we try putting the spotlight on it in a big way. Right. But when something gets way too much credit and it's done nothing, and it's literally done nothing, we shine that fucking light even brighter on that idea where it's like, no, hold the fuck on. Robert De Niro did not need to be in that movie. He did not need to be there.
Zero.
He just, you know what happened? He walked.
Yeah, there was no need. There was no need for it.
Hey, I'm here for one of the roles, and they're like, Robert De Niro, what are you doing here? You don't need this.
I wasn't doing anything on a Tuesday.
Yeah, like they're in a room with a whole bunch of like famous actors. They're like Pacino. He's like, no. Like, how about you, Harvey Keitel? He's like, not feeling it. And then finally get to De Niro, and he's just like, well, 9 guys already passed, so he doesn't want to be the next one.
He had to buy baby food that week.
They lined them all up and said, whoever wants his role, take a step forward, and everybody but Bob took a step back.
Yeah.
And now he ends up getting shot at the end. It was fine. It was. I saw Phantom Menace the day it came out. Like, I've had a lot of time to adjust to disappointment in movies. Like, don't get your hopes up. Fucking George Lucas had like 20 years to write this, and this is what he fucking came up with. So, like, let's not have too high of expectations for anybody.
George Lucas created a world.
He did. He did. That's impressive.
The Joker movie, a world of Earth was already created, so they already have that down. They're good. You know,
Yeah.
template is ready. They already have comic book references to go by. So many references, a whole bunch of them. They have people coming in that have written for Batman before, and they've dismissed every good idea in the room.
Yep.
They have a wonderful actor all around, Joaquin Phoenix.
Yeah.
And they give him a character that no one in this world could make a villain. But he tried, and it just turned out looking like the movie Psycho. Like he was the Norman Bates of a Joker because of the mother issues were there for some odd reason. The father abandonment, of course, the girlfriend that didn't exist towards the end. Spoiler alert, people. You're going to want to save fucking 2 hours of your life by not watching this movie. And now they have him and Harley Quinn, basically a musical coming out where they're just playing around in each other's heads through mental institution fucking bullshit foreshadowing.
You know who threw that around at the round table?
Who threw that around?
You knew that was Lady Gaga. Like she was probably like, oh shit, I'll even front some money to make sure that this happens.
I'll
get at
Lady
least
Gaga.
3 songs out of it.
Let's not blame Lady Gaga for having that idea, because that sounds like she would have that idea. Let's blame the guy that said, that's a great idea, Lady Gaga. Write it down and use the pen. Don't erase it. No editing. This is going to happen.
Yeah, it's going to go straight to video.
It's just, man, it just, it feels like a lot of missed opportunities in that movie right there.
You know what's a missed opportunity? Ending the show on a good note.
Show is a missed opportunity. We're missing it. Yeah.
I know. Now, I do want to bring up one last story before we happen to end this show. And it was a fantastic video that's going viral right now with T.I.
Oh, I saw this. This was very good.
A great video. Now, Ricky, I don't know if you've seen this particular video. It's a video of T.I. and he's in a parking lot somewhere, probably at a gas station. And a fan comes up to him and says, yo, man, it's a girl. And she tries rapping for him.
Okay.
Now,
and T.I. wasn't impressed.
He was not. T.I. must be the nicest person in the world right now in this video, because he listened to her rap and she's not. I've probably heard worse in my life, but not too many.
Okay.
Not too many. And she was she rapped and she gave it her shot. And she hit it for a 15 bar mark, and she was like do. And she goes, "What do you think? You should hire me. You should put some money in my hands. Blah blah blah." And he goes, "Well, why don't you just make it out to the people?" He's like, I can put money in your hands, but I can't give you money. Like, you have to go and get that money. You have to use your talents. You have to use your connections. You need to use your people. And she's like, no, you're my people. You're my connections. You're my money. And he's like, no, I can't do that for you. And he said it in the nicest way possible. He was like, you need to own your own merit. You need to build your own story in order to build.
There was some
persona.
He gave some very good advice when it comes to any lane,
any musician out in the world right now.
When it comes to any lane you have as far as entertainment, whether you're doing acting, comedy, rap, country music, rock and roll, music, acting, or whatever, there has to be a confidence that you carry, that whatever you're creating for yourself, whatever you're writing, whatever you're performing, whatever you're doing, you have to say to yourself in honesty that is the best product. No one else's is better at all, and to the point where, and she felt that kind of confidence enough to go up to him, and she just needs that last step in her head she needed him to say, yes, it's good. But even then, in reality, you don't need a celebrity to say, yes, it's good. It would have been nice if he said, yes, it's good, but he gave her even better advice to say, you don't need me to say that it's good. You need you to say that. You need everyone else to hear this stuff. You need the people to tell you it's so good.
Right. She said to him, "Give me a piece of your pizza." He said, "Number one, it's my pizza. You can get my pizza. Number two, you are talented enough to have your own pizza. And number three, prioritize that. Don't settle for a pizza."
A celebrity endorsement definitely does help. Justin Bieber endorsed Rebecca Black, and she had that show. She had that song. Oh, it's Friday. It's Friday.
Yes, I do like that song.
You know, it's catchy. And Justin Bieber put down. He said, "Oh, I listened to this Rebecca Black song, and she became super famous from that idea." And this girl right here, by even doing what she did, we're talking about her, so it's probably not hurting.
Right.
I mean, do I know her name? No.
I don't know her name.
Rap name? No.
In fact, people are probably making fun of her more than we're giving her credit. You know, like
in all honesty, she was a pretty bad rapper, and the fact that like she even went up to him with some balls. She had some balls on her in order to like rap for him. But then she rapped off, and then he was like, "No, I'm sorry, I can't do this." And then she tried again with the same bars.
It's just not going to have any impact on somebody. Like if you go up, if you see somebody who is a wonderful singer, like Pavarotti or whatever, like an esteemed and elite opera singer, and you say, "Hey, I got a song too," you know, and you're fucking mumble rapping, they're going to look at you like you're a mental case. You know, they're going to say, "Hey, maybe you learn how to sing," or something like that, or call for their security. But T.I. was totally cool with the fan. She tried to shoot her shot with the whole idea. She wanted the endorsement, and nothing but love for the kid.
But he did it with class, which was...
If she really wants to hit the peak of her career, Tony, she will come on the Podguyz podcast.
You would think she would. You would think she would.
Well, Ricky, is this the peak of your career right now? Ricky, is this the peak of your career right now on the podcast? See, we got a yes on that one. We're putting that in the yes column right there, Tony. Put on the yes.
We've only gotten 2 in life.
We got 1 to 2.
You are now number 3, sir. Number 3.
We got to wrap this up so I can get to Madison Square Garden for my show tonight, right? But first, I'll do the Podguyz podcast.
Perfect.
Then I'll do it.
And it's all downhill from here.
Right. Yeah.
Ricky, if people were going to get in touch with you, how would they do it, sir?
You can get me at Facebook/DJ Ricky David. You can get me at Instagram at the same joint. I don't know what my fucking Twitter is. Don't get me on Twitter. I'm out.
Yeah, don't get him on Twitter.
I'm out there, but I don't really use Twitter the right way. So like just Instagram, Facebook. I'm not reliable on Twitter.
Do not tweet him.
Everybody tweets nonsense, and it's just like if I'm gonna look at shit, like make it a post. Like don't just say shit. You know what I mean? Make it fun.
Twitter X has now become a pornographic dumping ground.
See, that's what I appreciate about it. The more pornographic dumping grounds we can get, the better. As far as I'm concerned, the more you got to think of where technology is today, right? It got there because of porn.
True.
Why did people buy computers? Porn. That's what got this whole shit started.
The only reason why they watch this show is because Sparky draws the best stick figure porn ever.
This is true. No, it's a fact.
Why doesn't Sparky have more to say? Like, it's like there's in his where he tapes from, right? There's literally shadows. It's like he's hiding. He created his own shadows to hide in.
That's true. That's true.
I'm just waiting all night. Like, well, what does Sparky think about this? I guess you don't think nothing of it.
Sparky does his best talking on his pad. You know, we tried getting him an iPad, but he's not that technologically advanced. The pad that he's working on right now is pretty advanced, honestly.
Well, I hope he finds his voice.
We do too. We do too.
Sure.
One of these days.
Ricky, thank you very much for coming on the show. Guys, we are the Podguyz podcast. We're going to bring it to a close. Sparky, where can you find us if you were looking for us, sir?
Well, you can find us on every single major streaming platform, including iHeartRadio, Spotify, Spreaker, CastBox, Pocket Cast, GeoReo. Facebook Live Video. I did say iTunes already. Stopped pointing at your eye. Google Video, You can find our merchandise at merchbooth.com underneath the podcast section. Look for Podguyz podcast.
True. All right. Guys, make sure you tune in, make sure you share, subscribe, like, hit the bell, share it with your friends, family. Do it all. Smell the cohiba, sir. Smell it. Guys, we're the Podguyz podcast. We'll catch you next week. Have a great night. Bye.